Hey there, my friend. If you're looking for reasons to get fired up about the Cowboys offense, let me give you two names right off the bat: Dak Prescott and George Pickens. Because if what we saw in the first day of mandatory minicamp means anything, the Cowboys might have just found a connection that could light up the scoreboard this season. Let's talk facts. Dak threw just 19 passes during team drills on Tuesday, and 5 of those went to Pickens. That's more than 25%. Let that sink in. Pickens didn't just show up, he showed out. No video allowed from the session, unfortunately, but the reports were glowing. From crisp routes to a contested catch over Israel Mukuamu on the boundary, he was making plays all over the field. And here's the exciting part. That chemistry between Dak and Pickens, it's not forced, it's natural. You can see it in the timing, in the trust. And guess what? CeeDee Lamb's part of that mix too. The trio is starting to look like a unit that can give defensive coordinators nightmares. I'm calling it now. The Dickens combo is real, and yes, I know it sounds a little funny, but hey, it sticks. So here's my question for you. How many touchdowns do you think George Pickens is going to rack up this season? Drop your prediction in the comments. I want to know where your confidence level is at. Now, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. It's just minicamp. But there's no denying it. This isn't the usual overhyped off-season buzz. There's real juice here. Real chemistry. Real upside. And it's not just the first-team offense making noise. In a second, I'm going to tell you why the twos, especially Joe Milton and a surprise wide receiver, might be making their own case. But before we go there, hit that sub button if you haven't yet. Let's get to 217K together. Ready to keep going? Because this next part is just as exciting. All right, let's talk about the second-team offense. Because they were cooking too. And I've got to start with a name you might not have expected to hear this early: Joe Milton. Yes, the rookie quarterback. The same Joe Milton who came in as a late-round pick with questions about his consistency and readiness. But on Tuesday, he gave the Cowboys coaching staff something to think about. Reports say he looked sharp, not just strong-armed, which we already knew, but decisive, controlled, like he belonged. And you know who he was connecting with? Jalen Moreno-Cropper. That's right, another young guy making noise. Milton and Moreno-Cropper hooked up for a pair of standout plays that got everyone talking. One of them was a perfectly timed-out route that had DBs shaking their heads. It's early, sure, but that's the kind of stuff you want to see from your depth players. Look, nobody's saying Milton is pushing Cooper Rush or Trey Lance today, but if he keeps stacking days like this, you better believe the conversation changes, especially if Lance isn't separating himself. And Moreno-Cropper, he's starting to build some real momentum. The way he's tracking the ball and running routes, it's clean, it's confident. It's the kind of performance that makes you rethink your final 53-man roster. So here's what I want to know from you. Be honest. Do you think Joe Milton could eventually become the backup over Cooper Rush or Trey Lance? Vote in the poll and let's see where we stand as a fan base. One thing's for sure. The energy at minicamp isn't just about the stars. The young guns are making noise too, and that's exactly what you want to see in June. But don't go anywhere yet, because in the next part, we're going to flip it around and talk about the defense. And let me tell you, there's one rookie who's already playing like a veteran, and he might be on the fast track to a starting role. Stick with me. Now let's flip it to the other side of the ball, because if the offense had its moments, the defense made sure it wasn't a one-sided show. In fact, they might have been the stars of the day. And you know who stood out the most? Marquise Bell. The dude was flying around like it was already week 1. The pads aren't even on yet, but Bell's speed, instincts, and aggression were impossible to miss. Whether it was breaking on a ball in coverage or closing space in the flat, he looked like a player who's not just trying to make the roster, he's trying to lead it. Now let's talk about another name that keeps coming up. Rookie linebacker Marist Liufau. But wait, the name on everyone's lips after Tuesday wasn't Liufau. It was Kalen Carson. Yep, The rookie corner was sticky in coverage, staying stride for stride with some of the fastest wideouts in camp. He nearly came away with a pick during 7-on-7s and just looked completely locked in. Quietly confident and already showing signs of being a future contributor. And speaking of physicality, the defensive line came to play too. Sam Williams and Chauncey Golston were collapsing the pocket regularly, making it tough for the second-team offense to even get set. It's only minicamp, sure, but the intensity? It was real. I've got to ask you this. Which defensive player are you most excited to watch develop this offseason? Is it Bell, Carson, maybe even someone like Eric Kendricks who brings that veteran presence? Drop your pick in the comments. I'll be reading through every one of them. Bottom line, the Cowboys' defense isn't taking anything for granted. They're fast, physical, and playing with purpose, even in June. Now up next, we've got something. Fans love to debate wide receivers. There's one in particular making a serious case to climb the depth chart, and it's not who you might expect. Let's dive into it. All right, you ready for a surprise name that made some noise at minicamp? Let's talk about Jalen Moreno-Cropper. Yeah, that's right. Not ceedee, not Tolbert, not Gallup. It was Moreno-Cropper who kept popping up with clutch catches and crisp routes throughout practice. He looked confident, sharp, and frankly, like a guy who's not just fighting to make the roster, he's aiming to earn snaps. He ran most of his reps out of the slot and showed a natural feel for finding soft spots in coverage. You could tell he and Cooper Rush had real chemistry going, especially during red zone drills. On one play, he froze the safety with a slick head fake and caught a dart for what would have been an easy 6. No celebration, just jogged back like he's done it 100 times before. Quiet confidence, man. Now don't get it twisted, this doesn't mean he's overtaking Brandon Cooks or anything like that. But when you talk about WR5 or WR6 battles, Cropper is pushing himself into that conversation, especially with rookie Ryan Flournoy and veteran Tyron Billy Johnson not flashing as much this week. This kind of internal competition is exactly what the Cowboys need. A young guy playing with urgency can push veterans to stay sharp and prove that no spot is guaranteed. You want your wide receiver room deep, hungry, and versatile, and Moreno-Cropper's doing his part. What I want to know from you is this. Do you think Moreno-Cropper has a real shot at cracking the 53-man roster? Or is he more of a practice squad stash with upside? Be honest. Type your take in the comments below. One more thing before we move on. This wide receiver group might not have a true WR2 lock just yet, but if guys like Cropper keep showing up, this coaching staff is going to have some tough decisions to make. Now, let's shift gears to one of the most overlooked but critical parts of minicamp, the trenches. There's a quiet battle brewing on the offensive line that could have major implications for September. Let's break it down. Okay, let's get into the trenches. We all know that the offensive line is the heartbeat of this Cowboys team. And with Tyler Biadasz now in Washington, the center spot is wide open. That brings us to Brock Hoffman, the under-the-radar name who just might be the most important piece in this minicamp puzzle. Hoffman worked exclusively with the first team at center, and honestly, he looked comfortable. He wasn't perfect, but he played with control, called protections clearly, and built some early chemistry with Dak. For a guy who's only started one NFL game, that's a strong sign. But don't count out rookie Cooper Beebe, who took backup reps, but has the versatility to play guard and center. The coaching staff clearly values that flexibility. If Beebe develops quickly, this could turn into a real battle by the time training camp rolls around. And then there's TJ Bass, who continues to be a reliable rotational piece, working at both guard spots. Bass may not be flashy, but coaches love his consistency. He could be this year's next man up if injuries hit. One thing is clear, the Cowboys aren't handing out starting roles. Every rep is being watched, graded, and evaluated. And with the way this team likes to rotate guys across positions, don't be shocked if the Week 1 O-line looks different than what we're seeing in June. Let me throw this one to you. Who do you want snapping the ball to Dak this season? Are you trusting the experience of Hoffman? Or do you want the upside and versatility of BB to take over sooner than later? Drop your pick in the comments. I'll be reading every single one. And hey, we've covered a lot today. From Dak's chemistry with new faces to the WR shakeup and now the O-line battle, one thing is certain. This Cowboys team is already laying the foundation for something big. But there's still a long road ahead, and the margin for error is razor thin. So if you're fired up like I am, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. Because trust me, training camp is coming, and things are about to get wild.